Hello everyone! With this video I'm starting with autumnal cards. I wanted to make a card with simple watercolor leaves using orange color. And because it is very simple and I was done pretty quickly, I thought why not to make a bundle, creating other things. I started with an envelope, then I thought why not to make a tag, and lastly I decided to also make a bookmark. I wanted to do this for a while, not just painting from scratch, but using stamps, dies, stencils, and so on, and expand what I can do with my supplies. Let me know if you want me to do that in some of my future videos. So let's start painting. As I said, I'm painting simple watercolor leaves. I started with a background for the card. I'm using the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolors, and I mixed together oranges. One was the typical orange and the other one was a more red orange. You can use other colors as well. Along the edges of the cardstock, I started painting branches with leaves. I started in the corner. I think that's the best way to start. You could also paint the branches in all four corners and then paint the rest. To paint the branches, I started with the top leaf. This was mainly because of the placement and how high I want the leaf to be. And then I painted the line and then the leaves along each side of the line. Here on this background for the card, I only used the tip of my brush to paint the lines, but later I switched to a long bristle brush as my lines were getting too thick. The brush tip on this brush is a little bit bent. My brush is in the size 8, but you can use whatever size you have. To be honest, I don't think this brush is the best for the leaves I was painting. If you ever watched a watercolor tutorial about how to paint leaves, you would see that they use 1 or 2 strokes. It is definitely fun to do and a great way to practice your strokes when learning watercolor, and I do that whenever I can because it is really fun to do, but it's not a must. I don't think there are rules how to paint leaves. The 1 or 2 strokes will depend on the size of your brush and the size of the leaves you want to make. And I wanted to have thicker leaves than the brush would make. So here on most of the leaves I painted first the outline and then I filled it with color. If you ask me what is the hardest part of watercolor for me, that would be the brushes. I'm very picky, there is no one brush does it all, but that will not discourage me from painting. Also, keep in mind the video is sped up and I will skip through some parts. I think this is quite straightforward. However, if you would like me to slow down and play the whole painting, even on more simple things like these, let me know. I appreciate feedback. Also, if you have any other questions, just ask in the comments. The cardstock I'm using is from a local store called Creatima. It's their own brand. It's a cheaper cardstock, definitely not 100% cotton. I didn't like it on the painting in my previous video with the sunset. There I used the Canson XL, but here it was okay. I painted the leaves along the edges of the cardstock and then I let it dry. The next step you can skip. I picked the Spice Marmalade distress ink and I applied it along the edges of the cardstock. I did this on one of my cards in the past. You might have missed it because that was just a YouTube short, but I really like the result. And if you don't have inks, you could use the watercolors and just go around the edges. You could use orange or gold, or just leave it without it. It's pretty either way. Next, I added greeting, just a simple hello, and I stamped it with a black ink. This was the only greeting stamp that I had that was big enough and would fit. If you don't have stamps, you can just write it yourself using a black marker or black fine liner. As you see, this is a very simple card. And for me, painting leaves is a lot of fun. So when I was done with painting the card, I decided to make an envelope. At first, I thought I will paint the whole envelope like this one, just leaving the space for the address. But I'm not sure if it is too busy at the top for the postage stamps and if the post office would accept it. If you know, let me know in the comments. I didn't want to jinx it, so I just painted the leaves along the left side of the envelope. To make the envelope, I used a cheap watercolor cardstock from Lidl. I think it's like 180 grams. It's not great for watercoloring, but it's pretty light, so you can bend it easily and make an envelope. Obviously, since it's a lighter weight cardstock, I had to be careful how much water I use for the leaves. By the way, I have a video how to make your own envelopes without any special tools. I will include the link to this video in the description. This is for some reason my most watched video on my channel, so thank you to all of you who watched it. I probably will be making a new video very soon, because I want to simplify it even more and get rid of the measuring. But back to this envelope. As I said, I painted the leaves along the left side, leaving plenty space not just for the address, but also for the postage stamps. However, if you are not sending the card, you could paint the whole envelope. So the envelope is done. I think it's quite pretty. And after this, I thought, what else could I create using the same pattern? So I decided to make a tag. I used a die to cut out my tag, but you could use a paper trimmer, paper punch, and a corner rounder. Here I decided to tape the tag onto a board using a washi, and I started painting the leaves. I switched to a smaller brush in the size 4, and I painted the same pattern as I did on the card and envelope, but here I decided to cover the whole tag. After I was done painting, I removed the washi and I decided to add a wool string or multiple strings at the top of the tag. I was going to use a banner with a greeting saying "for you," but I wasn't sure. Do you use greetings for your tags? If so, which ones? And lastly, something I wanted to create for a while. I watch a lot of watercolor artists and many create bookmarks. So I took this opportunity and made one as I needed one for myself. Again, I painted the same pattern with the leaves and I covered the whole background. I really didn't know what size to make, what is the typical size of a bookmark. When I watch watercolor artists, it seems like they use the full sheet of paper, 21 centimeters in height. 21 centimeters was a bit too high for me. I just cut a half of the A6 size vertically, so it's 10.5 centimeters tall and just over 5 centimeters wide. The size in the US would be similar to 5.5 inches tall and just over 2 inches wide. Do you use bookmarks? Is the size okay for you? Let me know. I finished up the painting, adding a few leaves along the edges, so once the tape is removed, there are not gonna be any weird empty spaces. And here is the bookmark without the masking tape. Here I didn't do anything else, but I made one more bookmark, and on this one I rounded the edges, and I also made a tassel. If you want me to show you how to make it, let me know in the comments. I'm also thinking adhering an orange cardstock to the back to make it sturdier. What do you think? And also, which tag do you like better? So many questions I'm having in this video. Here are all the pieces I created together. The card background I adhered on top of a white card base. Then the envelope. And the bookmark and the tag. Looks pretty neat, all matching very well. This was such a fun project. I hope this inspired you to expand your stash and make other things. You can use stamps, dies, stencils, and so on. If you would like to know how to make envelopes from scratch yourself without any special tools, check out this video that is on your screens. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments. And I will see you in my next video very soon.